Hello, hello. Welcome back. Wonderful parents, moms, dads, step parents. Welcome back to the podcast. So, I know I have been absent for a little bit. I just want to just share some information that will be very useful on how I am going to proceed with this podcast from this point forward. So, I have done some thinking as far as the direction that I want to take with this podcast. And I know that I had started a third podcast, and I come to the realization that a third podcast was really not necessary because, as far as what I talked about on that third podcast, is also incorporated into the Rare Mama podcast. So essentially what I've done is I've combined all the topics that I talked about on the third podcast into the Rare Mama podcast. So, from this point forward, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about not only the special needs journey as special needs parents, not just moms, but dads. We are also going to talk about when it comes to single parenting, whether you're a special needs parent or not, uh, dating. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about divorce as just single parents and navigating this life, whether you have special needs children or you don't. Okay. So I just wanted to open up the platform for all parents because, in all ways, we struggle with not only, parenting as a single parent and struggling with dating and dealing with feelings, post divorce, or if you're in the middle of divorce, and dealing with relationships when you have children, when you have special needs children. Like, all these factors are just difficult when you are a single parent, whether you're a single dad, you're a single mom, and when you just combine your families and join your families together, as far as, if you are a step parent, there's a lot of dynamics when it comes to, relationships and dating and just all those things. So, there's a couple of things that I am going to do. So, I have scheduled some guests to come onto the podcast. I am fucking excited about my guests. So, in the next episode, I am going to have Sean Hudson as a guest on the podcast, who is another special needs dad. And we are going to talk about fatherhood. I am doing an entire segment, probably for the next month or two, on dads and fatherhood and their perspective on parenting. Because I think we need to open up the conversation when it comes to fatherhood and just how dads are viewed when it comes to parenting. Because we talk about moms and the great things that moms and the struggles with moms. What we need to do is open up the conversation about dads. And that is specifically what I am focusing on for the next month or two. Is we are going to put the primary spotlight and the focus on dads and parenting. That is something that I am passionate about because I feel that dads don't get enough recognition and they don't get enough praise and they don't get enough appreciation for the things that they do as a parent. Because there are a lot of single dads out there that have full custody of their kids and they are doing it all by themselves. We need to appreciate and just, value them because that is such an important part. When it comes to children, whether you have special needs children or not, children need their fathers. They do. Okay. Not only do they need their moms, but they need their fathers as well. Daughters need their dads. Sons need their dads, just like they need their mothers. Okay. So I am freaking excited about my guests. So I have probably about 3 or 4 guests that are going to come onto the podcast. So the main focus of the segment is going to be on dads. Now, I am going to bring more moms onto the podcast as well, but I really want to show that appreciation and that recognition to those dads for this segment that I am doing. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe to the podcast so you can get in on these segments and listen to these awesome dads talk about their perspective on fatherhood and parenting. Okay. So that is going to be the focus for my podcast going forward. So I've rebranded it a little bit. So you're going to see some different kind of content, some new content, and make sure you follow along on TikTok because I will be posting clips of these podcasts on TikTok. So make sure you follow the Rare Mama on TikTok and get in on all the parenting stuff. Okay. So make sure you do that. All right. As always, if you have an interesting parenting story, if you have an interesting dating story, relationship, divorce, any type of story, I would love to hear it. Please send me an email. I will link it down in the show notes. If you are interested in being a guest on the Rare Mama podcast, there is a form in the show notes that you can go ahead and fill out. I will get back to you in 48 to 72 hours. And we can talk about all the parenting, dating, relationships, because we all know that fucking dating is a goddamn shit show these days. It's a freaking shit show. And I think it's nice to open up the conversation so that we can get both perspectives when we're parenting children and trying to date and have a relationship, or we're going through the process of divorce, or just navigating the feelings post divorce, you know? So make sure you check out the show notes. Come on and be a guest. Send me an email with all your interesting stories because I love it. Because I am going to do an episode of some listener emails that I have received. Okay. So as always, make sure you like, share, subscribe, give a 5-star review on the podcast. It just helps support. And so I can continue bringing you some really good stories and content. So thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you guys next week.